Hello everyone, Victoria Cochrane here, dropping my computer, for another Spiritual Wisdom Hour on the Spiritual Events Directory, and just seeing that the cupboard behind me is open, and that's just no good. So I hope you're all well and feeling happy. Restrictions are easing a bit, so we're all feeling a little bit less cloistered, maybe. Hoping that you're all getting out and about a little bit. Jane, how are you? Sorry, dropped my computer. So, great start to the show that was. So I'm Victoria Cochrane. I'm a spiritual healer, psychic channel, author, spiritual coach, and I'm in the northwest of Tasmania. Hi, One Queen. It's great to see you. New York. Wow, that's amazing. Hi, Melanie. Lovely to meet you. So I come on every Wednesday at 12 noon, and it's called the Spiritual Wisdom Hour. I'm so sorry about that, Deb. Bailey, great to see you. My sympathies to you. Hopefully we can cheer you up a little bit. Welcome everyone who's coming on. So I am not doing individual readings today, but hi from Brisbane, okay. But today I just want to talk to you about things that are concerning people. Numbers keep coming up for people. Someone asked me about palindromes. I also just want to talk about if you are struggling, what we might do, needing clarity, what do there. Hi Janelle, and talk to you a little bit about all the wonderful things that are coming up for me that will help you. So I do take appointments and things. I've just had my website redone. I'm so excited about it. Jake Hackett up in Brisbane, WDM, has redone it for me. Hi Marlene. If you jump onto victoriacochrane.com, he's done a wonderful job and very affordable. Jody, great to see you. Highly recommend Jake. Hackett is my maiden name, so how synchronistic is that? So yes, I was Victoria Hackett. When I was teaching, I used to call myself Vicky, so a 3-year-old couldn't say Miss Hackett, so I was Miss Vicky Packett. How cute is that? So today, yes, we'll just react to what you need and respond to your needs. But I'd rather talk about ascension and activating your higher chakras, how you're coping with recovering from the cloistering of the pandemic and keeping positive. And I think some people do that more than others. I had a negative day yesterday, happens to all of us, but I'm feeling much better today. So it's just great to have you all on, and thank you for taking the time. So I do come on every Wednesday. I'm going to be part of the Global Online Alternative Spiritual and Alternative Expo on the 24th of May, and I have a booth called the Spiritual Journey with Victoria Exhibitor, which you can join now, and you can also enroll for my free workshop, which will be at 10:10 on that morning, on that Sunday morning, Australian Eastern Standard Time, and that's on. It's called Ascension Anew, but it's about raising your vibrations, and I've been working with Creator and hi Brent, Archangel Michael, on some exercises of how you can figure out where you are now in terms of your thoughts and consciousness, and how you can actually be conscious of that and then raise it by thinking more positively. And we really do create our own reality through our thoughts. So you went through the ringer last week. The supermoon in Scorpio rocked me. Yes, well, I'm not a great astrologer. But But I do know that when things are in alignment, they can either align you or muck you up. So that would be the layman's terms for it. Drop to level 2 in New Zealand, midnight tonight. How exciting. Yes, we're at level 1 still, I think, but we go to level 2 next week, maybe Sunday. So I have a private group too. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Reaching Out Spiritual News with Victoria Cochran on Facebook. That's my public group. And I have an event listed there, which is on May the 30th. I am actually running a 5-week, 10-hour course online to help people with their psychic and spiritual development. And it's on Eventbrite, and I've worked really hard on the page. I've got lots on there now, so go ahead and take a look. I'm really excited about that. I haven't got a lot of people on board at the moment, but if you're anything like Tasmania, you leave it to the last minute. So I'm excited about that, but a little bit of a snapshot of the kinds of things I do will be in my workshop, Ascension and You. And also I do a lot of this kind of thing on here. Death and rebirth. I went through a couple of cycles. Wow. Hi, Tanya. Great to see you. Yeah, so if you are really finding that you are developing gifts and things but need some guidance, I really would love to have you on board with the course. It's on Saturdays from 2 to 4 in the afternoon, Eastern Standard Time, and is quite affordable, so check that out as well. I have a special offer at the end of this broadcast, so please stay with me. But what I do is I am a psychic reader, but I'm an advanced theta healing practitioner. I'm a clairvoyant, and so I help people to lift the trauma of the past to step into the future, and that's the thing that I'm really good at. Hi, Linny. So I had a question this week about palindromes, because a lot of people... Angie, great to see you. And Julie and Danielle, thank you for being here. So many people jumping on, it's great. So I have what I was saying was I have a public group, and I also have a private group, The Spiritual Journey with Taurus Angels. So if you'd like to see more of me, I think my group hasn't seen much of me in the last week, but I've started a little bit of relief teaching. I'm a retired teacher. Then jump onto that and I'll accept you into the group, particularly if you like, if you really like what I talk about, and to interact with like-minded people. So love and light to you too, Julie. That's absolutely beautiful. Thank you so much. Would love to have you on board. So lots happening. I've just finished writing my 4th book, and I have 3 books that I have published, and not one of them is within reach for me to show you. That's really not great planning on my part. And they're available online, also on my website, and they are channeled from the masters. And this next one is going to have a meditation. It has a meditation with each chapter, and I've recorded them. So I'm really excited about that. Not sure when it's coming out yet, but yeah, so I'm here to help. I'm here to help people to shift their stuff and to move forward and to gain clarity on things, and just to feel that they can. And my story is that 11 years ago I didn't know that I could until I woke up, and that's what's happening for a lot of people now. And so I've stepped into the role of helping people to step in to their stuff just like I did. And I was just like, I'm so ready, I'm in for it. And how exciting. Other people find it a bit scarier, don't they? So if you have any questions about your spiritual development, or so Bailey says she's been going on about being kind of struggling with a few things this week. But, you know, that's a good thing. And I did read your post, Bailey, and I just think good on you, and standing in your power and speaking your truth and standing in your truth is just so amazing, and that's fantastic. So if you've come out stronger and kind of you, but a kind of a brighter, shinier, more in your truth you, then it was worth doing. There is something called the dark night of the soul, and I've never been through it, but a lot of people do. If you've had some really dark days where you've just felt so low it wasn't funny, that's called the dark night of the soul, and you do come through on the other side, but that's where you can, it's an opportunity to really release the inner child, deep traumatic stuff that you might have been through in the past. And it's also kind of, I think it's a reckoning of perhaps your soul's journey as well, but also an opportunity to step into the unconditional love of the Creator and to realize that it's all part of the journey and to let that go. So if you have been through that, credence to you as well, because I believe it's not particularly nice, but you come out a lot stronger on the other side. Okay, so in my group, The Spiritual Journey with Taurus Angels, one of the members said, thanks for the newsletter. I put out a monthly newsletter and I've just put that out. It's called Reaching Out Spiritual News, and you can find the link on my Reaching Out Spiritual News with Victoria Cochrane Facebook page. Or you can go onto Blogger. You can just Google that and it'll take you to the newsletter. But she said you didn't answer the question about numbers and about what about. That was an interesting question, because a lot of people have been seeing 1111 and those kinds of numbers, and we've been talking about that in the last couple of weeks, how actually 11:11 is the ascension or awakening portal and the gateway for people to move through and step into their spiritual truth and their soul's purpose, and to become a way shower and light worker for others. And a lot of people have been doing that, and I did a channeling on that. If I have time, I could read it again, but you can find it on my channelings blog. Gee, I'm doing well with my plugging today, victoriacochrane44.com. And they talk about how they're the two columns of, you know, the past and the present, and the colon is as above, so below. So as above and so below actually means as on earth as in heaven, but it's really, even though we live in duality and our spiritual body is kind of separate from our physical body, actually what goes on in the physical body cannot do anything but affect the spiritual body, and vice versa. So if we're spiritually broken, then we'll carry it in our physical body. And so if you are going through a lot of physical pain or so, it's worthwhile doing more than just going to the doctor, because if you have mental pain or emotional trauma from the past, or you're spiritually broken, then the only body that can tell you there's something wrong is the physical body, and you'll end up with pain that no one can explain, or a dis-ease, an illness. So I find that really the only time I get sick is when I allow other people to put me down, or that I allow myself to feel that I'm not worthy or whatever, and I get really down and or grumpy or whatever, boom, I'm sick. So when you're out of balance, you're really opening yourself up to physical illness. If you're out of balance in the emotional body, you know, then if you're sad because, like one of our people who are on today, I need to go back and acknowledge her, Deb, who's lost someone, then of course you're going to be sad. And but if you're out of balance because there's discordant energy in the family, or someone's backstabbing you or whatever, then it will put you out of balance in all your bodies. So as above and below, as above, so below, means what happens in the physical body affects the spiritual body, and so we, even though they are separate, they're connected. And so if you think about it, what happens on Earth will affect the rest of the universe. You know, there's nothing that's separate, even though it's in layers and it seems separate. It's all connected and interwoven. And so we've got to think about what we're putting into our body and how that's going to affect our mental health and how it's going to affect our emotional health, how we're treating our body, how whether we're staying up too late, not getting enough sleep, not eating enough, all of those things, not drinking enough water. Hi Melissa, great to see you back on. Yes, great to see you. Thank you, Julie, that's really lovely of you. How do you know if you have the gift? That's such a great question. I'm just going to write that down so that I can come back to that, because I'm working on being better at not chopping and changing so much and then confusing the heck out of everybody. How do you know if you have the gift? So I will come back to that beautiful question. Thanks, Louise. Have the gift. Yeah, so we really need to, I know someone who said once, you treat your body like a temple, and the more that you do that, it radiates out so that your aura is shining, all your bodies are in balance, your chakras are wearing away, everything's great. But as soon as you get out of balance, then it affects everything, okay? So that's as above, so below. And so with the 1111, it's like the past affects the future, but when it's all in balance, then you align it all, and then you can move on. Does that make sense? So when you release the past, so that you've got, you're more able to function at a higher level, then everything goes in the flow. So that was a really good explanation for that. So palindromes then, so when you see 1331 or 1447 or something like that, that was an interesting question, because what does that mean? And I'm not a numerologist. I don't work in numbers. I'm not a dreamologist either, although I'm starting to sometimes work out what things in dreams mean and equate that back to what the message might be. So I did do a little bit of research on palindromes, and it more or less means that you have to go back to go forward. And I actually really like that, because it does relate to as above, so below, which is what I was thinking when the question was first asked, you know. And it's a little bit like that. But there's a wonderful article that I was reading, and she was talking about, she was just getting smacked in the face with these palindromes all the time, just could not go past them. And in the meantime, her life was falling apart. So everything was just going to crap. And she didn't have any money, and, you know, she lost a job and all these things. And I'm sure a lot of you can kind of relate to that. And so then she had a tarot reading, and the magician came out, and he was wearing the Ouroboros, which is an intertwined, it's a snake eating its tail, and that is infinity. And so infinity is like, you go back and then you can go forward, and whether you go around in circles or you do it in the 8 shape. And so if you are finding that you can't move forward, then it's like, okay, go back to find what it is that's keeping you stuck in the past. And for some people, it's way back in childhood, might not even remember it. For some other people, it's triggered from a past life memory, but there'd be something in this life that would relate to that as well. So she said she did. She went right back to her childhood, and released a lot of whatever it was that was holding her. So that's what a palindrome means. So she said at first she was getting stuck in, she was seeing 13. So it was 1331. And what did that mean? But then she started seeing other palindromes, 16, 61, you know, those kinds of things. And she started to realize it wasn't the numbers that were important. It was the fact that she was seeing these reversals. So if anyone's got any stories on that, that would be really fascinating. Oh, now Danielle says, because we were just talking about, well, I was talking about the dark night of the soul. Yes, just finally pulled myself out of the dark night of the soul, and I'm grateful for going through that because it has helped me fully embrace myself. Wow. Yeah, and I often say sometimes we have to go down in order to come up. And for some people who choose to learn the hard way, they have to hit rock bottom and then they come up. And then if you do that, then there's the chance to really let go of a lot of deep stuff that you never have to go through again. Angie says Mother's Day was not good for me and people seem to be cranky and angry at the moment. Yeah, and I had a day like that yesterday. And remember, I have talked about the human collective consciousness, and everything we put out to it is in there, and because we're all connected, it goes around the earth in waves, and we can really get hit by some pretty sad or angry or horrible stuff sometimes. And the key is to be aware of it and to perhaps isolate yourself. That's not hard at the moment, is it? But to isolate yourself even from anyone in the house, and just to, you know, the best thing to do is to bring up the violet flame. And if you don't know how to do that, call in any of the masters. Saint Germain is the keeper of the violet flame, along with Archangel Zadkiel and Holy Amethyst, the amethyst crystal. So use amethyst crystals. And the violet flame is an ethereal flame and so that's why I wear a lot of purple. My nails are shocking. They need doing. I'm waiting for the beauty salon to open. And will come up, and it transmutes negative energy to positivity, and it sparks off as golden light and goes out into the world as love. We'll go back into the human collective consciousness and actually transmute all of that energy. So I highly recommend that if you're finding that people around you are really grumpy, you can't hit them with the violet flame because that's intervention, but you can certainly hit yourself with it. And bring it up and just ask for it all to be transmuted, and you'll find it does. It works instantly, and it's a really good tool. Hi Angel Wings, lovely to see you. So why do I have dreams when someone close to me dies and they come into my dreams? They're contacting you. They're letting you know that they're there, and we're most receptive when we're asleep. So that's why they contact you. So I had to learn the hard way. Melissa had a massive stroke, left her with physical deficits. Now I'm addressing my inner child, doing all the work to break the cycle. Good on you. Yeah, and some people do get hit with lots of hard lessons and things like that. So credence to you. So how do you know if you have the gift? Well, everybody does to a degree. Everybody has the ability to be psychic, and everybody is a spoke of the divine wheel, and so therefore we're all connected to the Creator's mind, to the source of creation, and to the spiritual realm. So we all have access to that. So it depends on a lot of things, but it depends on our upbringing and our belief system, and whether we believe that there are psychic gifts or not. It depends on if we believe if there is a God or a source of creation or not. It depends if we believe in ourselves enough to think that we're capable and or that we deserve to have the gifts. But it's not always that you have strange things happening either. You might just have a really strong sense of intuition. You know, you might just really know when something's not right or when something's about to happen. Or I'm great, Kim. How's that time? I think I asked you that last time. You don't need to answer. Lovely to see you. Yeah, so intuition, I think, is the strongest thing that you could... thank you, Sandra. I will talk about that in a minute. To tune into and trust. So if you have really strong intuition, stop thinking that it's all just made up and that you're just imagining it. You know, just start to trust it. And when you start to trust it and start to use it, then it will develop more. So I could smell my grandfather around in smoke, and I won't bore you with the story because I've told it 100 times. But so that's clairsalience. And then he taught me how to receive messages, so that's clairaudience. Then I did a course and discovered that I could see with my third eye and visualize. That's clairvoyance. Already I had 3 clairs going. Pardon me. And then I was also channeling, clairaudience. So clairsentience has come in a lot more, where I just get bubbles and I just know when someone's around. So out of 8 clairs, I know I have 6, but they haven't always been there. It's just that more gifts have come in when I've trusted and I've used them and I've believed in myself. If I don't believe myself and if I don't trust myself, then my readings are really bad. So you really have to trust what you're getting, okay? And if it's been like that your whole life and you're still not trusting, what is wrong with you? Come on, time to just go, yes, I'm here, I can do it. And I just love it. It's just such a wonderful thing. Thank you. Yes, purple's it's the violet flame colour. So if you don't know what the violet flame looks like, it's probably a little bit lighter than that, but yeah. So if you start to get feelings or I have a friend, she's probably not on watching, but she works in like a bar and a tavern, and you know there's lots of kind of, she's up north, so the energy can be quite dense and so she's can be quite blocked. But when she's clear and we've done healing, so quite often it's after I've helped to clear her, then she's really psychic and she has premonitions and she can actually, she's shown something that might happen if she doesn't stay awake, and it's usually an accident or something like that, but she'll get a clear vision of the car rolling or something like that, and then it will nearly happen, but she'll have the knowledge of. So she said, oh, now I'm really worried for my safety. I said, no, you just use your psychicness and you had a premonition that actually saved you, and that's your guides working with you. And so she's really psychic, but it doesn't happen all the time. That's another question. Why can I do it and sometimes not do it? That's a good question. I can turn mine on and off, but it's always there. So I think it always goes back to me for trust and belief. The 2 most important words. If you sometimes are really on fire and trusting and believing, great, and then someone says something and it undermines you and all of a sudden it's gone, there you go. Trust and belief, right? The other thing is to just keep yourself clear of other people's judgments and opinions, and I think that's really difficult when not everybody's on board with the hoodoo, voodoo stuff, that other people don't believe it, and so how do we go kind of standing in our power and speaking our truth when people laugh at us or just say that you're just talking rubbish? It took me a long time to get over that, but it's their stuff, right? When you can be in a space and say, this is me, and I'm not going to force my beliefs down your throat, but I'm not going to not talk about it either, just because you don't like it or believe it. And when you can get to a stage like that, you'll find they don't judge you as much because you're not judging yourself. You must believe in yourself, Kim. You must believe. So whatever it is that is niggling away, some people can see auras, some people do see ghosts, or are really good at card reading, and it just comes out every time you do the tarot, it just comes out really right, and all of that, then yes, that is your psychicness, and it's the start of your gift. We all have gifts, I believe. Whether we choose to step into them or not is up to us. There's no compunction, there's no pressure, if you like, from God or Creator. And when I talk about God, I'm not talking about religious God, I'm talking about the source of creation, who's the seventh plane of existence that encompasses all the other planes and is unconditional. You can't control others' actions or reactions. You can only control your actions and reactions and your belief systems, and that's all you can do. So we just work on ourselves, and that's all we can do. When you work on yourself and you clear yourself of the past, when you raise your vibrations, when you begin to feel love for yourself and accept yourself and believe in yourself, it ripples out to others. Because if you can imagine, if very simplistically, if I were going to give you a flower but it was droopy, you would shy away. But if it was bright and beautiful and just at its peak, you would be drawn to it. Same. You know, if you're droopy, if you're shy, if you're down on yourself, if your energy is low like that, people are going to not be attracted. People are not going to kind of buy into you saying that you believe in yourself or that you're good at something when you're acting like you don't believe it. So it's the same, you know, what you put out will come back to you. And so fake it till you make it too. If you're having a hard time believing it, but you kind of semi-believe it, just keep saying it, have it up as an affirmation, you know, just really sell it to yourself. And once you've sold it to yourself, then others will buy into it as well. Okay, so yeah, so that is my answer to that. I'm really not doing individual readings today, Natasha, but I do have a special offer at the end. Janelle says she's been listening to her intuition and it's been very helpful. Yeah, well, you know, it's and I do really think it's our guides talking to us, and just it's all related. And we all have guides, we all have angelic guides, we have spirit guides as well. But spirit guides have lived lives on earth and can then be influenced by their experiences on earth and emotions, whereas angelic beings aren't. Also, masters of light have also lived lives on earth, but they've achieved mastery through overcoming their emotions and being able to see things from a much higher perspective. So I would highly recommend that you work with angelic guides or masters of light way before, and not work with spirit guides. My pa was a spirit guide and came in, and he was perfectly safe to work with, but he just went off then, and that was his way of kind of starting to develop spiritually. And so, you know, when it's family, of course, but then if you had a checkered relationship with them or didn't get on, then maybe not so much. So I'd be going with the angels and the archangels, and then you can't really go too far wrong. So I would like to draw some healing energy cards then, definitely for people who've lost someone. So there was, lost my closest friend 3 months ago tomorrow, feeling so lost. And then Deb said she's lost someone as well, and I'm sure there'd be other people on who have lost someone. And particularly with the COVID thing, a lot of people have been lost. It's a bit of a sensitive subject, and I don't know how far to go with it really, because illness or any illness, coronavirus or anything, is pretty much a death door. And so we do have a soul contract, and we choose when we're going to be born and when we're going to die. We choose the lessons we're going to learn. We choose the I've just got someone asking me something. Oh, okay. We choose our family, we choose all of that, okay? We also choose the karma that needs to be repaid and how that's going to be repaid. So there's a lot of tragedies on earth that are organised and orchestrated in the soul family that we don't know about, but cause a lot of grief to people left behind. So death doors then come about as a way of releasing from the physical body back into the spirit world, and even though it leaves people behind in terrible grief, it's the best thing that can happen for the soul at that time, because they've either finished their mission on earth, they've lost their way on earth and need to regroup and meet with their soul family and come back on track, and then come back and reincarnate and have another go. They may have been intervened upon and therefore just need to leave. Their body might not have been right. You know, sometimes we come into a physical, well, we reincarnate into a physical body, and it might not be, it might have not have kind of developed correctly. So there are lots of different ways, and so death doors don't always end in death. Death doors can sometimes, like Melissa, leave the body scarred, but the mind a lot clearer, and be an opportunity to actually redirect into the right direction, particularly if you have lost your way. It can also be a time to let go of a lot of things in the past and to move forward, reunite with family. It can be, so if you look at the coronavirus as a kind of a death door, then a lot of people have taken it, and particularly elderly people that perhaps needed to go or wanted to go and were given that opportunity. But it's also been a pause for everybody to think about what is really important in my life, what am I missing now, or what was I doing before that I have been trying to get rid of for ages and now I can't do it, so I'm so relieved. It's that opportunity to stop and just really let go and redirect and go on to our soul purpose. And I think the whole earth is going to do that in a lot of ways, of really stripping everything back. And goodness me, what is the most important thing for us to do right now is to actually support each other, love each other, and stop all this bullshit, that's been going on before, of war and hatred and all that other stuff. honestly, we're here on earth to have an experience, but we're all in this together, to coin a catchphrase, that we've lost sight of. And so you can equate death, the death door, to the coronavirus thing. So when they go, then where do they go? They go to the spirit world, and the spirit world is it's a higher vibration than the earthly world, so they lose their body. But apparently they go, spirits still eat, drink, smoke, do everything they did, which is why I could smell my grandfather in cigarette smoke. And they are still kind of who their personalities are still the same. And so when you bring them in, they're like the way they used to be. But it's also a chance then to evolve and to work your way through the levels of the spirit world towards mastery. So we are doing that in an earthly body, but we also do that in the planes, and review our life and meet with our soul family and heal. If you've had a lot of illness or a really hard life, it takes longer to heal. So they do that, and then they might decide to reincarnate really quickly or not. But the hardest thing is that if you've lived lots of lives, then you've got lots of soul aspects of yourself. So you can be someone's great Auntie Betty, and you might be the King of Persia in 1213, and you know, so you've got all those experiences, and yeah, it's quite fascinating. Our grief can keep a spirit grounded to earth, and that's not telling you not to grieve, but they feel us and they want to help. So you would have your friend around, Sandra, I would say, and that is something that I do. If ever you want to book in for even half an hour where I can tune into your friend and just give some comfort, it's really comforting to be able to just check that your loved one is okay. I can tell you they're okay. It's you that they would be concerned about. So blessings to you all who've lost people, and just know that they are happier up there than they would down. You know, it's a hard gig on earth, isn't it? There's just so much stuff that we need to deal with, and it drags us down into endless worry and misery and pain, which is being negative. But that's where, if we're here for a long time, then we need to make sure that we're working on seeing everything with gratitude and seeing the good things and the lessons in the bad things, and letting go of not sweating the small stuff and starting to just really make the most of every minute. And I do know that the multitude of spirits that I have called in for people who've lost loved ones, they just say, make the most of every minute. Don't waste a second. A lot of them will say, I wasted my life worrying about stuff that I couldn't control. I wasted my life, you know, just drunk or whatever. Like, they'll just say, make the most of everything. So that's a little bit, but it is a death door. And even for children, that's the hardest thing to say. You know, when you get the death door, you choose whether to go through it or not. With little children, sometimes they can get drawn by the light and the angels, and I wonder if that's what SIDS is about. I don't really know about that. But if your body's really broken, then it's probably easier to leave than to stay in a body that's not going to serve you for the rest of your life. So yeah, there's a little bit of talk there on death and death doors, but also there's a lot of karmic stuff. We are releasing our karma now, definitely, but it can still be created, and then, but now it comes straight back at you and then it's gone. Whereas in lifetimes before, we've created a lot of karma through war and killing each other, and so a lot of deaths maybe are karmic replays and things like that. Yeah, so the masters talk about that in my 4th book, but I don't know when that'll be out. So I just got a few things more to kind of sort out with the book, mainly the front cover, which is being done, and the recordings of the meditations, which my friend Gary is onto now. So yeah, but they do talk about all of that. So what is the time? 12:48. Let's just pull some healing energy cards then, and we might just do a meditation just to help people to heal a little bit. I'm just wondering if there's any more. Can't control. Okay. Oh, there's lots more. My problem is I'm good reading people, but when it's about myself, it's like questionable, which I don't know why. Is that I know. Honestly, to read for yourself is just so hard, because I always have an agenda, and when I get a no, I want a yes, and I cloud my own judgment. So I'm with you. I just can't. It's a lot harder. Thank you, Natasha. It's a lot harder to read for yourself than it is for other people. With other people, crystal clear. With myself, no, murky waters. Confident people are people who believe in themselves. Some people believe in themselves too much, though. I mean, there's good ego and there's inflated ego, and inflated ego will just get you nowhere in terms of helping other people, and turning people off to you. You know, like, it's just like, well, okay, you think you're pretty good then, but I can't see it. So yeah, we need to be confident, but we can also be open to still growing. You know, we're always learning, always growing, and there's always room for humbleness, you know, and if you're in ego and you think you're really good, then the reading's going to be about letting the person know how good you are rather than helping them, and the twain never shall meet. You know, it's not about the reader, it's about, or the professional, it's about helping that person. So that energy you can tell straight away, can't you? So yes, we can be confident, but we don't need to be are they the Ascended Masters? That is a fantastic question. Yes and no sometimes. So if you believe in yourself, doesn't necessarily mean you're an Ascended Master, but it does mean that you're working towards mastery, because self-doubt and lack of trust and lack of self-love will stop a person from developing into mastery. And mastery is where you can actually be an observer rather than a participant, where you can actually see the higher picture and the greater, like see the whole vision of everything rather than just your own little bubble. And so mastery is something that I think can be mastered, but not ever isn't finite. What I'm trying to say is that you can be a master, but there's still stuff to learn, and you are going to make mistakes still, and there's just more mastery to master. But confident people are working towards mastery because they're working on their self-belief and self-love, and they're standing in their power. And once you can do that, then you can start to see the bigger picture of why people behave the way they do, and why things might be happening, and that bad things can actually have blessings in them. And a less awakened person would have trouble doing that, because they would just see how everything's just happening to them, and everything, the whole world's gone to crap, and pardon the swearing, and they'll never get out of it, and everyone's against them. So they might be confident. So yeah, so now I have to kind of look at that statement. Confident people are working towards mastery if they can see the positives and if they can get themselves out of their own little bubble. If they can't, then no, they're not working towards mastery at all. So ascended masters are ones that come back and actually serve and help others and share their knowledge, and but in a way that empowers others to step into their own knowledge. And they do that through experience. So the ascended masters like Saint Germain and Jesus and all of those ascended masters have all had hundreds of lives where they've learnt really hard lessons through religion and persecution and perhaps royalty and poverty and all of that, and they've taken on those lessons and they've let go of all the anger and all of the resentment and all of those things that would hold a person in the fourth plane, which is the spirit world, and actually allowed themselves to grow into loving beings who can see that all of that experience has led to greater things, not just for themselves but for the world and other people. And that's what mastery is, I think, you know. But just because you're in mastery and a master doesn't mean that you're any better than anyone else. And that's the thing, you know. It just means that you have more to offer and more to share, and probably a greater responsibility to do that. But it doesn't mean that you're any better than anyone else, because in the energy of Source, we're all one and the same. We're all connected, and so we're all just in here helping each other. We're all at different levels of learning. If you look at a school, that's what it is. You know, they're all working towards mastery, but they're all at different levels. They're all the same. They all deserve the same, you know. And then the teachers are the same. They're all at different levels too. Some have more experience than others. Some have gifts that are perhaps meeting the needs more than others, but they're all deserving of the same. And it's the same with masters and children of the masters. And so if you're a children of the master or a child of the master, then you're working towards mastery. So that's what this is about. It's about learning towards soul evolvement and growth and mastery, where we can master our mind and our physical body and actually bring it to a higher consciousness. And that's where it's as above, so below, right? Because then we are always connected to the spiritual realm, but able to act with integrity and love in the physical body and in the physical world 90% of the time. You know, we're human and we have bad days, and I can put my hand up for that as well. So I hope that explains that. Oh, Debbie, I'm so sorry. My heart goes out to you. Wow. So now, Kim says, heavens, I don't know why I chose my family. I have got a bit of a story about that, where I went into a house and got jumped on by a spirit, and he was the long lost brother of the lady who owned the house with her husband, and they'd had a pretty rough childhood, and he'd lost his way and died an alcoholic and whatever, and they'd been estranged for about 25 years, but there he was in the house trying to get their attention. And yeah, there's a caring emoji. I will tune in. I will just finish this with tuning into a couple of people. Anyway, he was saying it was a big fail. He'd lost his way and he would come back and do it better next time. And his sister said, yeah, but you'd want to do it in a better family. And he said, no, I'm so grateful for our parents and for the life that they led, which, you know, was apparently pretty hard, because they've been my greatest teachers, and the lessons that I've learned will steer me well in my next lifetime where I won't go wrong. And that pulled her up. You know, it was like, wow, okay, because she'd had a lot of resentment for their dad, who'd been fairly violent, I think, and all the rest. But next time, when he reincarnates, he won't lose his way because of the lessons he's learned in that lifetime, and the acknowledgement of them, and actually integrating them into his spirit. So that was pretty profound. So I would like to tune into Debbie, who lost her partner. I'd love a name, if you could just give me a name, and Cheryl, if you could. I'm not going to get to everyone. Hi, Perla. Yes, Sandra, and a name from you as well. I might just start with those three people. And yeah, and it's a release, isn't it, for a lot of people. Thanks, Lou. Look, if you're feeling flat, it would be really good just to call in Archangel Michael and ask him just to clear your aura, to cut ties with people that you've been interacting with, and just to ground and clear your energies. And even that can just make a huge difference. But also just ask him to cut ties with the collective consciousness and see how that goes. Arrogance, yeah, arrogance. Okay, how can you tell if your illness is a karmic issue or something you need to heal from emotionally now? I think I'm going to book a session with me. That would be great, Jody. You can tell if it's a karmic issue, it'll keep coming back, and it'll have attachments to it, like with a family member or a friend or something, or someone in your life, and it will stay stuck, I think. Whereas if it's emotional, then once you actually can release the trauma attached to that, it will go. But if it's karmic, it kind of is really hard to shift. Yeah. Thanks, Perla. Yes. Paul. Baldy. Oh, blessings, Baldy. Okay. All right. I'll do that. Timmy. Just making sure I've got the right person. He's larger than life. He's like huge next to you, so he's been with you, very worried about you. Everything just seems large. I don't know if he had something enlarged, or like he was holding a lot of fluid or something. He might have been quite ill, because he's not saying a lot, but there's so much love there. He's with someone. Looks like a grandmother. Looks like an older woman. I'm asking him for a message. He didn't want to go, but he had to go. He's grieving, but he's healing. It's like he's still a bit caught, actually. I feel like he's still a little bit caught in between this world and that. So with your permission, or actually Debbie, yeah, it would just, what you can do is just give him permission to go to the light and to heal and to be able to go onto his onward soul journey. But that doesn't mean he can't come back, okay? But he needs to do that, because I feel that he's kind of like, you know, when you hold a balloon and it kind of enlarges up here, he's getting stuck and he really needs to be released. I don't want to do that. I prefer for you just to give him permission to do that and to come back and tell him that you love him and that you're okay, which you're probably not. But, you know, like, he's got some healing to do. I just feel like he's a bit stuck and needs to release so that he can come back. So, he'll be right, because he's once he gets that healing, he'll be able to come back and you'll feel him and he'll feel different. Sandra, Jen. She's very grounded. She would have been quite a dry-witted person, I would say. Very grounded and very loyal and true. Liked a good time, but was sensible about it. She says at times, when it suited her. She loves you to the moon and back. Don't spend your time grieving. It was a hard slog, and now I'm free. She feels like she's having a holiday. You know, the release from the pain and everything. She's just having a holiday, and then she'll think about what she wants to do after. So it's like she's up there on the beach or something, having a bit of a break, which is lovely. And but she sends you loads of love, and for some reason I get martini, but and martinis. So now I do have someone booked in at 1:30 and I haven't had lunch, so I will have to go. I just apologies to anyone I didn't get to, but I am offering a free 15-minute chat to anyone who would like to just talk to me and see where they need to head, what kind of healing they need or anything like that. Even anyone who's intending to book in today too, we just add that on to your session. So I really, you know, sometimes people just say to me they feel better just listening to me or talking to me, and I think that's a gift in itself. And I'd love to, you know, if you would just like to chat with no obligation, please, you know, just do. And the first 10 people will get a free 3-card reading as well. So you can find me through here. Sarah will put you onto me, or you can message me through Reaching Out Spiritual News, or through my website, victoriacochrane.com. Please check out all the events I've got coming up, my course that might really suit you, and the Spiritual Events Directory, Global Online Spiritual and Alternative Therapies Expo, which is happening soon on the 24th of May. And if you've loved listening to me, please connect with me through my website, or ask to join my private group, The Spiritual Journey with Taurus Angels. Remember, the first 10 people who get in contact with me get a 20-minute chat and a 3-card reading. So get onto that straight away and look me up, check me out, and see how I can help you. Loads of love to you all, and thanks for tuning in. Bye.